And we are back. And whether you're a regular or you're just tuning in for the first time, in which case, if you did, you just dropped into the debriefings. One of our 3 programs on this channel, the other 2 being Homeland Security Off the Record, in which I interview men and women who really know the threats we face. And our 3rd program, our newest program, What's New in Security Technology, which speaks for itself. But back to the debriefings, where you're at now. These are short, standalone news, insight, and analytical mini-documentaries prepared by our exceptionally seasoned, experienced, multidisciplined subject matter expert veterans who cumulatively have centuries of combined experience and institutional memory and knowledge. They and myself, a former counterintelligence analyst, strive to provide context and perspective to old, new, and emerging threats in an unbiased and nonpartisan way as much as it can be, yet still be uncompromising. Welcome to the show. That out of the way, yes, please subscribe, hit that like button. Talking about HIMARS today. On January 5th at Pope Army Airfield in North Carolina, U.S. service members offloaded a high-mobility artillery rocket system, which we all better know as HIMARS, from a C-17 Globemaster 3. That same day, U.S. Marines with the 2nd Battalion, 10th Marine Regiment, 2nd Marine Division conducted a HIMARS, quote, rapid infiltration exercise, unquote, in Cherry Point and Fort Bragg, North Carolina. This exercise was conceived to increase the unit's ability to transport and employ HIMARS in a multi-service offensive operation. It wasn't until last June that the Biden administration finally delivered the first consignment of HIMARS, which is a long-range truck-mounted multiple rocket launcher which fires satellite-guided rockets at the unclassified ranking. As I said, far longer than anything Ukraine possessed. But the weapon platform finally provided twice the range of the weaponry Kyiv had previously been using, which was woefully inadequate. Ian Williams, Deputy Director of CSIS's Missile Defense Project, stated that, quote, HIMARS is one of the world's most advanced rocket artillery systems. Its range is farther than anything the Ukrainians had. So when that was transferred, they did get the ability to strike targets deeper behind the front lines and much more accurately, unquote. Indeed, despite all the political wrangling in the U.S., especially in Congress and among executive branch officials afraid to aggravate the Russian bear at the outset and even months into it, HIMARS unequivocally have been essential for Ukraine's defensive and offensive capability to keep Russia so remarkably at bay. George Barros, an analyst with the Russian-Ukraine portfolio at the Institute for the Study of War put it this way, quote, HIMARS have liberated strategically significant Ukrainian cities and territory that likely otherwise wouldn't have happened. It's a glowing report card, unquote. Since Ukrainians' fielding of HIMARS, there has been a substantive, palpable shift in the momentum of the war, no doubt, putting Ukraine's armed forces on decisive offense, while conversely squarely checkmating Russia into a defensive fighting posture, with diminishing wartime stockpiles of just about everything, not the least of which are its mandatory, conscripted, ill-trained, ill-prepared, and ill-equipped habitual vodka-consuming dregs. They don't make for very good soldiers. On Monday, the notoriously propagandistic Russian Defense Ministry declared 63 Russian service members were killed on New Year's Day in an attack on a building in the Donetsk province, whom officials on both sides stated was carried out using a HIMARS. Ukraine, the U.S., NATO, and other veteran Western military intelligence experts estimated that hundreds of Russian soldiers were killed in the attack. And I trust our Western intelligence that I do Russians' intelligence. The HIMARS system quickly, effectively, and demonstrably made clear that when deployed against stationary targets identified in advance and dialed in with pinpoint targeting tech, it is most effectual at destroying ammunition depots, critical command and control, and other vital infrastructure and concentrations of your enemy. The United States so far has supplied Ukraine with at least 20 HIMARS systems, which are manufactured by Lockheed Martin. More are on the way. Western military intelligence analysts disclosed to us that Monday's strike exposed a modification in tactics. Namely, until now, Ukraine's commanders deployed their rockets to knock out ammunition storage sites and supply lines. But more recently, however, Ukraine's military strategists have begun to target Russian troop barracks and other concentrations of soldiers and mechanized armor, said Michael Kaufman, director of Russian studies at a research institution in Arlington, Virginia. Kaufman said, quote, the influx of mobilized personnel at the front lines has visibly made them vulnerable to strikes, unquote. He went on to state that the latest HIMARS strikes have been less effective overall than since they first entered the war last summer, when they degraded Russia's then advantage in long-range artillery. But still, once in country and strategically positioned, the HIMARS quickly provided a progressively pivotal advantage by pushing farther back vulnerable Russian forces, mechanized weapon systems, supply bunkers, and even its dwindling long-range bombers. While HIMARS have not resulted in pronounced changes to the front lines in the Donbass region in eastern Ukraine, where Russian forces Monday unconscionably targeted an air attack on a school being used as barracks, Russia is experiencing a Kremlin-troubling, slippery, tenuous grip on the territory it's largely reigned over since it invaded Ukraine in 2014, when it then enjoyed a modicum of substantial, albeit old, unmaintained, stripped and gutted defenses, as we first reported here, as a matter of fact. With Russia's route north across the Dnipro River into the Kherson Oblast, HIMARS were moved forward and used to strike troop concentrations in the east. Last month, Russia's state news agency, TASS, made the extraordinary admission that a HIMARS struck a hotel in Luhansk province. Ukrainian authorities said the hotel, get this, was a base for Putin's close friend, who owns the paramilitary Wagner Group, which we all know has played a significant role in Moscow's campaign in Donbass. O'Brien argued that weapons like the HIMARS will likely be important as the war enters its second year. He said the first step of any Ukrainian road to victory will be the continuation of this great wasting stage we are in, adding that Ukraine will rely mostly on ranged weapons to methodically dismantle the Russian forces facing it. Thank you. Until next time, be well, safe, and stay frosty, my friends.
Lineup checklist is completed. We are cleared for takeoff. Rotate.
Air up, Captain 73 is off the deck at 57 after.
Pause 3.
Right, air up, Captain 73.
The HIMARS, which is Army speak for High Mobility Rocket System, is already a long-range weapon. Combine the HIMARS with the Air Force's C-17 and you can reach out and touch anything. The 62nd Airlift Wing combined with Alpha Battery 5-3 of the 17th Field Artillery Brigade to participate in a combined joint training exercise called a HIMARS Rapid Infiltration, better known as a high range. This event was used for both branches to get in some much-needed training. After a smooth takeoff from Joint Base Lewis McChord, the pilots got some low-level maneuvering training and then demonstrated the C-17's ability to be a heavy-lift platform
The thermal's carrying you.
and also stop on a dime.
Go. Stay. Over the hump.
It's already a long-range weapon system, so when we do the high range, we utilize the Air Force, whether it be C-17s or C-130, to put us forward, the line of troops, and engage targets long-range guns up.
After the C-17 came to a stop, the loadmasters got busy unchaining the vehicles. The vehicles drove off the aircraft and moved into position. A short time later, they received a fire mission. The rocket launchers then moved into their correct position and then closed back up. No munitions were loaded because it was a test to make sure everything from loading, landing, unloading, and communications flowed smoothly. Lieutenant Smith says his firing battery will be shooting the HIMARS weapon system in July. For the 20th Public Affairs Attachment, I'm Sergeant Bill Washburn.